Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome. Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah.
Here's the story now. If I see Kevin Owens, or even someone who looks like Kevin Owens, I drop them on sight.
It's party time!
So, what day is it today?
Tuesday?
Wrong! It's NWA Day.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, let's party.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. That's your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I hope that worked out. If it didn't, I'm going to look goofy. My name's J. Cal. Every Tuesday, I come to you, that hashtag NWA fam, to talk all things NWA wrestling. For the last time. You know, we've been talking NWA wrestling every Tuesday since 2019, excuse me. I've been literally, it was the third episode of Power that I started this pre-show that we would talk about the NWA. We would hype up the upcoming events. We would talk about where you could see the world's heavyweight champion, then Nick Aldis, now Tom Latimer. And it's been a long time. And as I reflect over the last, 7 years? 6 years? It's been a very productive 6 years. It's been a very fun 6 years. And I appreciate each and every one of you who've been a part of this journey with me. And to be quite honest with you, it's been very gratifying to see this channel grow from 40 subscribers to listen to me talk about the NWA to now over 6,000. And it took time. It didn't happen overnight. But thank you for being a part of this journey. It's been very rewarding. For the last time, let's do a little pre-party before the big show, before NWA Power Daddy. Let's be in high spirits, right? Let's go out on a bang. Now, first and foremost, I see Steve. I see you in the chat, Steve, and I've got some news for you. We're going to talk a little bit about some fun stuff with the United Wrestling Network. But first and foremost, let's get to some of these comments that are here in the chat. Of course, it's Tuesday. And we don't start the pre-party unless we do a Willie Bowen Tyrus joke of the day. Here it is. J. Cal, what's the difference between Tyrus and Highway 5? Highway 5 gets where you want to go, but if you're a rotisserie chicken, you'll get lost inside of Tyrus. Hopefully it's going down and not up. You know what I mean? Oh boy, yeah. That Willie, good job, sir. Good job. Nicely done. Our pal Jeremy says, don't forget to like, share, and after the stream, leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm. Absolutely. We are looking to get a little jiggy with it, with the algorithm. We're trying to get on pace. Look, we have 6,000 subscribers, and that's huge here on YouTube. There are numbers on TikTok. You know, we're like over 2,000. We've got a bunch of followers on X. We're growing every day on Blue Sky. We're working on our Meta. You know, we're blowing up everywhere. But to be on YouTube with 6,000 subscribers means that you guys have been supporting this product. You've been helping this channel grow. And again, we appreciate you for that. So thank you. Let's see. Heebs is in the house. A rare Heebs sighting. That's my guy right there. One of the funniest wrestling meme creators in the world. I didn't know that was a category, but it is. And Heebs is tops. That's my guy. I want to say what's up to Willie Bowen, Bobby Batito, Steve G, and of course our pal Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. Who else is in the chat that I missed? Noob is here. Let's see. Wrestling God. Jamming Music Man. Double D. Devin Dowling. And our friend, the great Hisa. All of you guys are in the house hanging out with us. As we say, one last time, let's get ready for NWA Power Daddy. And I do want to remind you guys that we are still growing this channel. We have 3 different shows currently airing on this channel. We have the Alliance Guys podcast, which happens every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We have the other Alliance Guys that have taken over Sundays. I believe they start at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. And then, of course, the last pre-party, the very last pre-party, which airs on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific, to get you ready for what's going to happen on Power this week. But before we talk about Power, before we talk about the NWA at all, let's do a little acknowledgement, right? Because you guys have been talking, and I've heard you. I've heard you talk about Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Jay, when is Championship Wrestling from Hollywood coming back? Jay, tell Dave Marquez to bring it back. Jay, why are they shooting episodes if it's not coming back? Jay, when is Championship Wrestling from Hollywood coming back? I hear you. Boom. How about this? How about this? Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. The new episodes will premiere this weekend on YouTube Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on Gray Media Networks. You'll have to check your local media networks for what time and what channel, but they are growing. They're on more than just the previous networks. They were been on Peachtree. I believe that's where they were still airing their show, the show. Mostly in reruns for the last few years. Arizona Family Sports. It's been on Silver State. It's been on Palmetto. The Rock and the Gulf Coast, I believe, are the new additions to the affiliate of Family, which means this Sunday you're going to get to see some Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And I know a lot of you guys have been excited about that. I know a lot of people have been anticipating it, and it's finally here. And I'm excited for you guys because I got to see this show. I was there at these tapings in Irvine. You know, I know the results. We posted the spoilers on the website, alliance-wrestling.com. If you want to see what happened, you can. Or to be spoiler-free, you just wait till this Tuesday. And I'm going to tell you, man, the Infantry versus Wolf's Daddies, I think the kids call that a banger. That match slapped. You know, and then also we're going to have Scorpio Sky versus Ice Williams. Ice Williams is a WWE ID talent. Scorpio Sky is still under AEW contract. This is kind of like a promotion versus promotion inside of another promotion. It's like Inception or something like that. It's Pro Wrestling Inception. And yeah, Championship Wrestling from Jeremy. Excited that this is the last episode of the pre-party. It's the best news I've heard all week too, brother. But yeah, Double D, what's up, brother? Yeah, and it's this is good for wrestling. We should, when there was only the WWE, pro wrestling struggled. And the reason for that was because without some chief competition, things felt like there was a lack of urgency. Market share is very important to the WWE. Do you know now that there is literally a WWE program almost every night now? There is Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Tuesday there's NXT on the CW. Wednesdays, I believe they're on Tubi with don't help me guys, the Evolve show, right? And then Thursdays they take a knee for TNA. They let TNA have Thursday nights. Friday nights they're SmackDown. And then Saturday nights they either do their premium live event, which is either an NXT takeover or a WWE, what they used to call pay-per-view. Or in addition to on Sundays, they have the LFG show, as well as other WWE themed content on AEW. So, Heaves, I think it's all kind of connected. I'm not going to say one thing changed the other, but I do believe that competition is what really ignited the WWE's change in direction. Yes, he got caught with his pants down. Yes, that changed the course of history with some regards. But as soon as AEW started getting a larger fan base, the WWE started doing things a bit differently. They started looking at things from a different perspective. And as that trickles down, right, like TNA wrestling has never been more exciting than it is right now. Would you agree or disagree? I mean, I've always been a fringe TNA fan. And so, like, this is a pretty big deal to see them with these sellout crowds. They're going to be out in California, not too far away. I think in May, they're doing 2 TV tapings in Irvine, which I'll be happy to go to at least one of them. But yeah, it's growing. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is promotions like the NWA don't really have a counterpart. You might argue that MLW could be that counterpart, but MLW is running more events more frequently and is seen by more people than the NWA. So, sorry, Heaps, I was reading your comment. You believe that WWE is actually doing something to combat prospect recruiting? Interesting. Well, I mean, with the whole ID deal certainly gives them first crack at a lot of very talented individuals. But as I guess the point I'm trying to make is the NWA left unchecked has kind of just done what it's been doing. It doesn't really have a chief rival. I would say MLW gets seen by more people than the NWA. The NWA is growing. And Sean says, the NWA is running more events if you count the territories. I don't. When I'm seeing an NWA roster, like if I see power roster on a territory card, that's when I guess I will see it as the same. It's not to me though. And, and it's okay if we disagree on that, that's fine. But I just feel like, if I go to an Exodus Pro show, yes, I will see EC3, but I might not see Tom Latimer and the 10 pounds of gold. I probably won't see Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox, the NWA World Tag Team Champions. I might get a women's world title match. I might get a world junior heavyweight title match. But when was the last time Mims defended the national title at Exodus Pro? When was the last time Mims defended the national title anywhere but on Power? And to me, that's different. We could argue about it, but to me, it's different. What I find compelling, though, is if a company like the United Wrestling Network is releasing Championship Wrestling, that is a program that's on par with what the NWA is doing. I think right now I'd say the NWA has a much greater reach than the United Wrestling Network in terms of live event attendance. I would say that being on X certainly gives them a lot of eyeballs, but probably not more. And we could check in the next few weeks. We could check to see the numbers that the NWA is still producing on X versus the numbers that the United Wrestling Network is producing on YouTube to give you a more direct comparison. But in terms of the houses, the live shows, the signature live events that the NWA is doing, they are certainly outdrawing the United Wrestling Network. I would say that. Well, that's why we have a Discord, Heebs. Tag me in the comment. I'll jump in. For those of you who are watching on TikTok, you don't get to see all this interaction that we're having in the chat on YouTube, which is the preferred method of watching. YouTube.com/The Alliance Blog. Memphis Wrestling versus Hollywood. Double D. Memphis Wrestling versus Hollywood. Sure. I mean, but that's that. See, comparing Memphis to Hollywood is the same thing as comparing Exodus Pro to Joe Kazana Promotions. I mean, it's basically the same thing, right? Vince leaving has way more to deal with WWE getting better than AEW's existence. Maybe. Heaps. Honestly, I feel like the biggest ball to drop was the whole thing with CM Punk. I feel like that was the biggest changing event, because if CM Punk was still in the AEW, I think that their ratings wouldn't have tanked as quickly as they did. As soon as he was gone, he was still the top merchandise seller when he debuted in the WWE. I'd like to see Bishop Dyer on NWA Power, since he was a great opponent for Tom Latimer. Sean, yeah, I don't think that's the argument. I don't think anyone's saying that the WWE is not doing well without Vince. I think what Heebs was saying is that the WWE is started being better once Vince was out of the picture, which there is a lot of truth to that as well. But let's getting back to the NWA. Of course, left unchecked, I feel like the NWA has kind of, I don't know, man. I look here, and I'm not trying to compare apples to oranges. I know that these are two different vehicles. These are two different animals. But as I look at this poster and I see these networks that the United Wrestling Network is appearing on, again, Gulf Coast. I saw what Dave Marquez posted earlier today on Facebook, and that Gulf Coast program is literally going to be all over. What is it? Now I got to pull it up here. Dave Marquez on the old Facebook. They're that map that they're on in Lake Charles, they're on in Shreveport, they're on Monroe, Alexandria, Baton Rouge, Jackson, Hattiesburg, Mobile, Alabama, Biloxi, Mississippi, Montgomery, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. Like that's a lot of market for them to be. Now you could see Championship Wrestling in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Let's be honest about something. What's preventing the United Wrestling, what's preventing the NWA from being in those markets? Why isn't the NWA on in those markets? That's their core audience right there. Dothan, Alabama shows up. Dallas, Texas shows up. I don't know why we don't see the NWA efforting to get on a TV deal similar to the United Wrestling Network. And it would only make sense for them to be on those regional channels, because it's not, for better or for worse, CW is not coming to give the NWA another contract, if they ever had one to begin with. The CW, the major streaming platforms, if they wanted the National Wrestling Alliance, they could have had the National Wrestling Alliance. No one has been out there to go and get it. So, I don't know, guys. Okay, now that's an interesting question, Sean. But do views equal dollars? Now, I know that X rewards content creation by engagement. It's not even how many views, it's how many people share, repost, talk, share that content, like it, comment, retweet it, all that stuff. Why don't they call it re-Xing it? We still call it retweeting. Interesting. Are they making the same money? You guys are all over the place. That's my fault. I've been a little rogue today. Well, it's the last episode. Next week, I'll be doing nothing but word for word promos of Kevin Owens. Just kidding. What's going on, everybody? I'm just trying to read some of the guys' comments here. We are on youtube.com/the NWA. Whoa. Oh, I think I just had a stroke, everybody. Good night, everybody. That's why this is the last episode, because I can't get my shit right. My name is Jay Cal. This is the Alliance Blog. We are streaming live on Twitch, on Kick, and our favorite place to be is youtube.com. We're also streaming live on TikTok. The live show is best on YouTube at the Alliance Blog. Check us out there. We interact with those who are watching. We post your comments in the chat. And right now I posted, because they probably get more views on X than they were on regional TV. And the thing is, Sean, like, I don't agree with that. Television isn't a dying medium that some people think it is. It still has relevancy, and especially when it comes to programming like pro wrestling. And honestly, if they are getting more views on X, then wouldn't they get even more views being on the regional programming as well? I mean, when you look at what the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood group has done in the past, obviously you can't say much of what they've done recently because they haven't had a whole lot to talk about, to watch about, they've been almost dormant for an entire year. So I can't really say, hey, they're great, check this out. But I having been at the TV tapings, I can vouch that the product that you'll see is good. But what I'm saying is, if Billy believed in his product as much as we all think he does, why not pay for a little play and get the program on in these markets where you're trying to grow, like Dothan, Alabama? Being on in Alabama, where they get a pretty large audience, what if they can continue to grow that audience? What if they go from the Civic Center in Dothan to a much larger venue? That's what I'm talking about. Their secondary home seems to be Tampa in Florida, but what if they could go from the PBS studios to a larger arena just by putting the TV on and making it available for people in the local audience, local members, local people, viewers at home watching it on television and then coming out to the TV tapings? I think there's a lot to be said of broadcast television, and just because it's an over-the-air channel doesn't mean that it's not available on cable, doesn't mean that you can't stream it later on YouTube or even X or anything else like that. There's opportunities to grow your product, and Billy has been waiting for somebody to hand him a TV deal. Why not just go out and get it? Take a smaller deal, swallow some of that ego, get on in the markets that that you can be successful in. NWA Chicago, that should be power territory. Power should be on in that market on regional television. Power should be on in Texas on regional television. Power should be on television in Tampa in that market. Hell, they should even probably be on in Philly if this is their second time coming back to the ECW arena. Not everyone's going to watch X to see your content. Likewise, not everyone's going to watch regional television to see your content. But there is a dichotomy there, and I feel like there's opportunity for growth. Why not strike? Why not go for it? Our pal, the Millennial Noob, says, I got one question for the final episode of the pre-party. If there's a possible partnership between the WWE and the NWA, which NWA wrestler will wrestle in the WWE? I would like to see Natalia Markova. Of course you would, noob. You're the biggest Natalia Markova fan there is, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Look, she's a very talented wrestler, very beautiful woman. Who would I like to see in WWE programming? I mean, it's hard for me to say anybody other than Silas Mason. Tom Latimer would be a good choice, too. Tom has all the tools. EC3 has all the tools. Hell, even Trevor Murdoch would be very interesting to make a reappearance in the WWE. But I feel like if you're going to bring NWA talent to the WWE, you're probably going to want to go with the youth movement. So I would say somebody like Silas Mason would probably be it. See, I don't know if I don't think I agree with you on that one. There's potential. I see potential. I don't disagree that there's potential. I don't see that he's got WWE written all over him. Like, I don't see what capacity do you see him being in the WWE. Like, they've kind of moved away from the cruiserweights. They don't really have a junior heavyweight division. They have speed on X, which again, that's something, but that's not everything. And I don't know. Misery isn't. The kid's still young, and there is a ton of potential with that guy. Honestly, somebody from the NWA who I think would have been perfect was Ella Envy. And not because I think she's a good-looking female. I think she really has a lot of that je ne sais quoi that the WWE is looking for. She can work. Like, she has the facial. She emotes. She could tell the story without even throwing a punch. Hit the gym. Let's pull up a young Tyler Black. You could be on. Hey, Heaves, I'm not saying you're wrong, right? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't necessarily see it. Tyler Black was something special, though. I mean, Tyler Black and Jimmy Jacobs as the Do It For Her tag team on Wrestling Society X. I mean, that was pretty interesting, and it took a long time before he got to the big time. But again, that doesn't mean he can't get there. I just don't see it. I see, I'll be honest, I think Kerry Morton has a better chance than Alex Misery. And again, I'm not putting down Alex Misery because I think he's got a ton of potential. But I feel like Kerry Morton might be closer to being ready. I feel like Colby, the thing that hurts Colby is his size. He's just not a very tall athlete. That's stupid. The NWA should never do business with the WWE. They're all cutthroats because WWE will deplete the NWA wrestling roster. Look what happened to WCW. Yeah, Willie's not wrong with that. I don't hate the WWE as much as Willie does, but look, this whole deal with the WWE and TNA, I mean, first and foremost, they poached Jordan Grace. Now, that was easy. Jordan was available. But don't kid yourself. As soon as a talent is made available from the TNA roster that the WWE wants, they will snatch them up. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think it's a bad thing. Look, Moose in TNA has been killer. And he might be a little bit too old now for the WWE, but that match with Obafemi a few weeks ago, are you telling me that wasn't entertaining? And, some of the talent has gone back and forth. Like we saw Fraxium on Impact. And we've seen there's been a lot of crossover, but trust me, when there's good talent, they're going to get picked up. And it happened. And like ECW, yeah, Steve G said ECW also. Yeah, 100%. And again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you're a fan of pro wrestling, and this is where, I know Heebs is I don't know if it's part of a work or not, but the whole tribalism, right? Like, if you like something, like it, enjoy it. If you hate it, then move on, find something else. Me personally, when I was a kid, we didn't have enough wrestling. I grew up watching Glow and WWE Superstars and Saturday morning main event, or Saturday nights, not Saturday night's main event, but Saturday night on TBS. I watched as much wrestling as I could. Even when I would go to the Spanish speaking channels and watch Lucha Libre. I did not know what they were saying, but it was so cool. And now you can watch as much wrestling as you want. It's on every hour, every minute, every day. There is an option to watch wrestling 24/7 if you choose to. That's pretty cool, man. And so, for me, I'm all about I don't necessarily care what wrestling promotion I'm watching. I've been to AEW events this year alone. I've been to an AEW event. I've been to a WWE event. I'm hoping to go to a TNA event. I might go to a New Japan event. I will be going to an NWA event. I've been to United Wrestling Network events. I feel like wrestling, as long as I can enjoy it and be entertained by it, I'm for it. You know, watching Mariah May and Tony Storm like beat the hell out of each other isn't necessarily my cup of tea. That's not my favorite thing to see in pro wrestling, but I can respect the work that they put into that match. Will Ospreay is a guy that his style of wrestling probably is the best representation of the style of wrestling I enjoy. And I enjoy that match that he had with Kyle Fletcher in the cage. That wasn't for me. Heaps, that's what I thought. I honestly thought that, but I don't want to assume much of anything. Yeah, and Paladin, I agree. Like, I get it. It was over. It just wasn't for me. And I take nothing away from Tony Storm or Mariah May. Both beautiful, both great workers. Put on a hell of a match. But I don't care for blood and guts in my wrestling. Like, some blood's fine, but like gore for the sake of gore, like taping your fist and putting it in the glass, like, that's not for me. That's not for me. WWE sent Russo to first, and then 2 years later, Bret Hart to destroy WCW, and it worked. I mean, maybe. He's a side-by-side of Cody and Kerry, like in terms of height. I've stood next to both of them. I'm a little bit taller than Colby. I'm a little bit shorter than Kerry. Or maybe Kerry and I are about the same height. You love Bloodsport. That which begs the question, are you going to watch Bloodsport, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport this weekend? Well, Heebs, that's the thing. And I don't have, like, look, I think Ella Envy should have been in TNA. The minute she left the NWA, she should have gone to TNA. And the King Bees, I wouldn't have a problem with them showing up in TNA either. And that's not a bad thing. Like, look, there's only so much the NWA can do at this point. Until the NWA takes that next big step, we have to temper our expectations. The NWA is a part-time wrestling promotion. As much as we want it to be full-time, it is a part-time wrestling promotion. And I know this because they film TV about twice a month. When you look at the WWE, you look at AEW, you look at New Japan, you look at New Japan Strong. The offshoot of New Japan runs, I think, with more frequency than the NWA. Draws as big of a crowd, if not bigger, than the NWA. There's a lot of potential with the National Wrestling Alliance, but they need to take that next step. And I don't know if that means that Billy needs to step aside, let someone else do creative, that they need to dump a little bit more money into it, that they need to run more frequently, that they need to get a regional TV show. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't. But if I had it, I would go for it. I mean, this is the time, especially now that we're approaching Crockett Cup, and we haven't talked a whole lot about Crockett Cup, but there's going to be a lot of people watching the NWA for a couple of reasons. You've got Natty Neidhart coming to the NWA with something to prove, with a chip on her shoulder. She wants to prove to the divas, to the women's division of the WWE, that she is not to be forgotten about, not to be slept on. She's not going to come to the NWA and mail it in. Whoever she wrestles, it'll probably be for the Burke, and it's going to be a fantastic match. I have no doubts about it. Likewise, we're going to get Rhino in the ECW arena taking on Tom Latimer for the 10 pounds of gold. Now, we look at ECW, we look at Tom Latimer, we look at Rhino. Look, Rhino's reign as NWA World's Heavyweight Champion lasted all of 2 days. He hasn't challenged for an NWA title since 2014. He last challenged for the NWA World's title in 2012 against Adam Pearce. A lot has changed since then. Oddly enough, he's not that old. He's not even 50 yet. It's like 49. That's crazy to me. That means when he was ECW World Champion, he was a young pup. But what I'm saying is, like, How old was Tyrus when he won the world title? Let's do some math here. Let's do some math. How old was Tyrus as NWA World Champion? Okay, so Tyrus, just how old is Tyrus? How old is Tyrus? And look, I'm not saying that he should be the measuring stick, but Tyrus is 52 years of age, right? February 21st, 1973. How old is Rhino? No. Rhino is 2 years younger than Tyrus. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Rhino is 2 years younger than Tyrus. Rhino has so much better wrestling skills than Tyrus had. This could be a good match. This could be, I'm not going to say it's going to be a match of the year candidate, but this could be a really fun and entertaining match. And if Rhino were to win, every single dirt sheet magazine out there, all the sheets on the internet would be talking about it. Not only would they be talking about it, the NWA would get what it so greatly desires, which is attention from the mainstream wrestling media. You got Billy Corgan over here. Pop, put that needle in my vein. Give me all the eyeballs. And that's what they would get. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, guys. I'm not saying that you've got a new world champion in Rhino. But I feel like in the ECW arena, ooh, daddy. Look out now. You're cooking here. That is some top level stuff. It's good, man. And now is a time for the NWA to be like, wait a minute. People are watching. People are talking. It's time to take that next step. Now is the time. Now is the time. If you're with me, clap. Because now is the time, daddy. If they don't do it now, when? You'll never have a bigger star on your program than Natty Neihart. She is legitimately under the WWE contract. She's going to be in the Hall of Fame. This is going to happen. If it's going to happen for the NWA, it's got to be now. They got to strike now. And I don't know what it's going to take. Like, is it a TV show? Is it a more frequency in running? I mean, you're already starting to see that. They're already starting to take steps in that direction, right? You know, the 3 events that they did in New York just a few months ago, they're talking about pushing some of those matches out of the way so that they can get to the Crockett Cup faster. I mean, if that's what's going to happen, I really feel like the NWA could potentially get to where they need to be. So, what say you, my friends? What say you, the hashtag NWA fam? Let's read some more of your comments. Willie Bones says tires. Yes, Heebs, there it is. Rhino is at the ripe age to be our next champ. Rhino also has 100+ less pounds on his knees than Tyrus. And just for shits and giggles, not that I don't absolutely adore Trevor Murdoch, but how old is Trevor Murdoch? Okay, so he's substantially younger. Murdoch is 44 years. He's younger than me. Damn. Makes me feel old and shit. Anyway, so yeah, I think that there could be some really good stuff to happen too. Ash can't hold a candle to Markova. Let's be serious. Are we talking about, wait. Oh, Ash by Elegance. I thought you guys were talking about Charlotte. I was like, no way, guys. I'm all for you having a Markova. Wait, whoa, stop. Shots fired. Are we talking about Teddy Hart in the Crockett Cup? I think not, sir. I don't want Teddy Hart anywhere near the NWA. We don't need convicted felons in the National Wrestling Alliance. I think he still might be in jail. Now, Harry Smith, you got me. I would love to see Harry Smith in the NWA. I would love to see Harry Smith versus Tom Latimer for the 10 pounds of gold. That would have been the match I would have booked if they would have offered it to me. But not Teddy Hart. That guy should not be anywhere near a wrestling ring or children or women or anything with a pulse. Like, maybe cats. Maybe cats are good for Teddy Hart, but that's about it. You know what I say? Fuck that guy. Wait, where's the... Fuck that guy. Yeah. There goes the earnings on this video. Paladin says, yeah, Rhino is solid, looks great for his age. The man doesn't age. I mean, he's still, look, there is some wear and tear on him. He's not the same Rhino from ECW. He's not even the same Rhino from when he won the NWA World Championship for 2 days. But he still has some name value. He's still in that ECW arena, which is a very big part of all of this. If this show is taking place in if this show is taking place in like Dothan, Alabama, maybe Rhino isn't the guy. Although the fans in Dothan seem to react. If this show is taking place in California, no, I would say absolutely not. But it's taking place in the ECW arena, you know? That is a sacred ground for wrestling fans. The fact that we saw Rhino in Dothan, Alabama, and what did the crowd chant? They didn't chant Rhino. They didn't chant Gore. They chanted ECW. I mean, they did exactly what Billy was hoping they would do. And they're hoping that those same fans show up in Philadelphia on May 17th to watch Tom Latimer and Rhino step into the ring to one another. Roswell says, not digging Rhino at all. I mean, I hear it, man. I hear it, but I don't think that's, at this point, I think Rhino is the guy. I think being in Philly, being in the ECW arena, I think carries a lot of weight in this. There are other people who are more talented than Rhino. There are other people who I would rather see wrestle Tom Latimer than Rhino. But the whole part of it is if the NWA, which hangs its hat on nostalgia, it incorporates as nostalgia as much as it can into its product. I mean, look, it's using the 10 pounds of gold. You've seen the television title that Carson Bartholomew Drake carries. You see the national title, which is a throwback to the U.S. title that Ric Flair held. I mean, again, they're hanging their hat on nostalgia. The NWA, those three letters connect to history, the past, the present, and the future of pro wrestling, history, tradition, and legacy. All these key buzzwords. At the end of the day, they love the nostalgia. And if you could pull somebody from the ECW era and put him into an NWA ring, I know that Billy is extremely happy to do this. There's not many guys left from ECW that can. I mean, I wouldn't want to see Tommy Dreamer versus Tom Latimer for the 10 pounds of gold. I don't think Justin Credible still wrestles and maybe shows up for appearances. Would you guys want to see Shane Douglas in the ring with Tom Latimer? All of these are bad answers, but Rhino makes sense. Steve G, man. We talked about this before, and I don't know if this is a joke or not, man. Andrade would be good. Absolutely. They're both Charlotte Flair exes, so they got that going for them. Tom has worked everyone in singles in the NWA at length besides Kratos. Any outside challenge is welcome to me. Yeah, and going back to Kratos, like, Kratos would be fun, but he's in a tag team. You know, Daisy Kill might be fun, but he's in a tag team. Odinson might be fun, but he's in a tag team. There are some people inside the NWA that would be interesting, but they haven't been built up. They're not ready to be in that position. So for this show, it only makes sense to be an outside guy. God, I don't want to see EC3 get another shot at the 10 pounds of gold for at least 6 months to a year. You know, I don't necessarily hate the idea of a Matt Cardona and Tom Latimer match, but maybe that's good for 77th anniversary show. This makes sense. And Steve G says, no, I'm being dead serious. Well, Andrade's still under contract with the WWE, but sure, let's, stranger things have happened. Natty Neidhart's coming, so who knows? Make it happen, Jake. I don't have any pull in that. I'm sorry. But Josh Alexander versus Tom, now that would be something pretty sick. I don't know what Josh Alexander is doing right now. I don't know where he is at right now. I know he showed up in Maple Leaf. I don't think he signed with AEW. I think he's still either just exclusive to Maple Leaf or not signing a long-term contract with anybody. Willie says Tom versus Thrillbilly, but we've had that match. We've had it for the national title and the world title. Well, maybe not world title. No, that was against CC. So we saw the national title. But again, we need... Okay, so tonight on the NWA's signature series, Power, we have, Slade versus Alex Taylor for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship, which looks like a lot of fun. Slade is a guy who I feel is extremely underrated in the NWA. Taylor seems to be like honestly, maybe the MVP of the Southern Six. He kind of seems to be the glue that's holding it all together still. You got Colby Carino versus Silas Mason. Now, these guys had a banger last year at the Crockett Cup. The feud kind of has been hanging on, protecting Kyle Davis and teaming with Brian Idol, all this stuff. So who knows? But I don't see Thrillbilly being the answer yet. Let's get some more wins on Thrillbilly. Let's build him up. Whoever wins this tournament will probably get a shot. Maybe not at, well, we know it's not Crockett Cup, and it probably won't be the 77th anniversary show. Maybe whatever happens after that. Maybe it's like Saul Wynn even. I mean, now we're talking May. The anniversary show is probably going to be somewhere in September. So maybe Saul Wynn. Who knows? Our pal Timmy Gold, Thunder. Can't talk anymore. It's because it's my last show and I'm feeling really broken up about it. But good old Timmy Thunder's in the chat. He says, I'm down for another quick Rhino reign. Gore. Double D says Tom versus Aaron Stevens. We're going to get that match in a few weeks on Power. And maybe that does, I mean, who knows what the optics are going to look like on that. I know that Stevens is still very active in pro wrestling. He's just not been an active competitor for Power. And what he has forgotten is probably more than what a lot of people on Power even know. But I still feel at this point, again, wins and losses have to matter. They just have to. I can't tolerate, I can't accept that. Now, special circumstances. Here I am saying that wins and losses should matter, but bring in somebody who has 0 wins in the NWA. The guy has legacy. I'm sure, Devin D, maybe it's time for you to start up a podcast. You know that Beretta guy that tags with the Baron sometimes in the past, and we'll see sometime in the future, is a guy I want to see more of. Yeah, there's a lot of guys on that Texas roster who I think, if given the right opportunity, should look really good for the NWA. A lot of guys. Let's see. Tom versus Cardona, like it or not, has built-in storyline since Saul Wynn. It does, and I don't have a problem with that match happening maybe even at the anniversary show. Like Matt, I think that could be a very good match. Cardona looks great. Tom looks great. And if they're able to take that volume up to the next level, I could see some big things happening in that match. But I don't think there's a more perfect match right now for Tom Latimer than Rhino at the Crockett Cup, which takes place at the ECW Arena. Like, all of the elements have lined up to make so much sense. And I don't know who would make more sense. Even Josh Alexander is a talent. I think Josh Alexander would be great for the NWA. He'd be amazing. But does he make more sense as a challenger to Tom in the 10 pounds of gold at the ECW Arena? Now, if Tom goes back to Maple Leaf Pro, maybe we get a Josh Alexander versus Tom match there. That would be great. It'd be fantastic. Almost anywhere besides ECW Arena. Again, there's so many of these elements that just make sense. Bobby Batito says, I'd like to see Mims versus Slade for the NWA National Heavyweight Championship. See, now you're talking, Bobby. That's a matchup I'm in on. The only problem is what we get from Slade is junior heavyweight matches. Somebody in the front office only sees Slade as a junior heavyweight, just like they see that with Joe Ocasio. And again, this is it's problematic to me. I think he's so much more than a junior heavyweight, but if it means getting recognized and getting more opportunities, then I'm all for it. Bobby Batito also brings up that Kenzie Page has been dominant champion like Camille was on the NWA. Ooh, I'll get to that in a second, Double D. Yeah, I feel like Kenzie's run as world's champion is also coming to an end. In fact, there were spoilers indicating as such a couple weeks ago. So we'll see what happens with Kenzie. I don't even know who the women's champion is currently. Of course, there's been a lot of TV that's been happening over the last few months that we have not seen yet. So who knows who is what at this point. I hope whoever is champion faces Natty Neidhart at the Crockett Cup. Thank you, Tim. You said it's kind of good now. I was saying the exact opposite earlier. I feel like now is a time for them to take it up to the next level. This one needs to go to 11. Double D says, I would have preferred to see RVD if we're choosing an ex-ECW star. Can RVD still go like RVD? I don't remember the last time I saw an RVD match. And now I will use the website Cage Match to see when was the last time Rob Van Dam wrestled. The Battle Creek, Michigan native who is 6'1", weighs 235 pounds, with a background in kickboxing, karate, taekwondo, aikido, and kendo, wrestled his last match on April 20th at the high-flying 420 Elimination 4-Way at AEW Rampage in Peoria, Illinois. Okay, so I guess he is still fairly active. And it seems like he's wrestling more matches. In 2024, he wrestled 6 matches for 2024. He wrestled 6 matches, and 3 of those were AEW matches. So that's kind of interesting. In 23, he had 2 more matches in AEW. So, interesting. I haven't seen him lately. I don't know what to say about Chris Shoemaker said it at AEW against MJF. I guess I didn't know that either. I see that he wrestled Swerve Strickland on January 31st in a hardcore match in Louisiana. I don't hate the idea of it, but I just feel like I still feel like Rhino hits all the boxes for me as far as I'm concerned. I think that RVD isn't a bad choice. Yeah, Billy. Billy has been able to keep the NWA alive and kicking, so we'll see. I mean, who knows what's next for them? Obviously, I think it's a big. It's going to be a big moment at the Crockett Cup, and we'll know more about what happens next after that. Yeah, Matt, that was a good one too. Roswell says Hammerstone is a better pick, but by Crockett Cup he may be signed to AEW or WWE. And again, Hammerstone doesn't have that ties to the ECW arena, and I think that's what they're leaning on. Like again, I really feel like stressing the nostalgia here. It's because they want to connect themselves to the past as much as possible, and by putting this match on with Rhino, I think really kind of gives them that street cred. I mean, what you guys, you don't think there's something to that? Double D says Swerve's my favorite wrestler. Swerve, this is Swerve's house, man. Swerve is great. I have no complaints about him. I can't believe they let Swerve go, to be quite honest. You know, our TikTok just had a great comment. My pal Chris Shoemaker said, I'd like to see Lattimore versus James Storm. That's not a bad one either. We haven't seen James Storm in a meaningful NWA match in quite some time. And I know he's been doing work with Jace, the Juggalo Championship Wrestling. But I don't, again, this is a special set of circumstances. Like, I wouldn't say Rhino's the pick if we were in California. I wouldn't say Rhino's the right pick in Texas. I wouldn't say Rhino's the right pick if you're in New Mexico. I'm saying Rhino's the right pick for the ECW arena, with a very close second being RVD. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Rhino's the guy. And I feel like the fact is that Rhino is a former NWA World Champion. He has the pedigree. Steve RVD never was an NWA World Champion. Never. I don't think he even fought for the 10 pounds of gold. Reluchador's in the house. Dave Dahl is my favorite wrestler right now. He's always the right pick. That's the worst thing you've ever said, Relucha. Gonna see Reluca and Tim in Philly in a couple of weeks at the ECW arena. That's gonna be fun. A lot of fun that night. Swerve is great. TK's booking of him is worse than terrible. He gets booked like Dolph Ziggler was in the WWE. I don't know if I agree with that, Steve G. I think he had the world title, and they're going to put him in another world title match, I think, very, very soon. I think that's a pretty good choice right there. Bobby Petito says Tom Latimer versus Richard Holiday in a match. Again, that's not a bad match either. I just don't think that's the match you do in the ECW arena. The fact that it's the ECW arena, the fact that Rhino could still go, the fact that he's a former world champion, all of this I feel plays into the fact. And let's not forget, Rhino is a Rhino is a William Patrick Corgan guy. And if you don't believe me, go look back in history. There's a little promotion in Chicago called Resistance Pro Wrestling. This was a Billy Corgan pro wrestling group. Before TNA, before NWA, Billy was involved with the Indies in Chicago. And his world champion was Harry Smith. Small world. The other guys in that promotion, a little guy named Marche Rocket, another guy named Mecha Wolf. Well, he wasn't Mecha Wolf back then, but you know what I mean. And a lot of those guys from that Chicago area have we've seen on Power in recent years. But one of the matches that they booked multiple times was Rhino versus Harry Smith for the Resistant Pro Championship, and that leads me to believe that Rhino's a Corgan guy. Let's not sleep on that. That's one thing going for Rhino. He's been NWA champion before. Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't a long run. It wasn't a long run, Rosville, but I think it's an important run. Was Rhino goring before Goldberg was spearing? Yes. I think the answer is yes. No, maybe not. Maybe not, because I think Rhino didn't really come into prominence till 2000, and I think Goldberg was like 99. Oh, that's interesting. Didn't Rhino gore someone next to Billy back in ECW in the late 90s? It might have been Carino. And I feel like Dave Scooby just said what we were all thinking. At least it's not the Blue Meanie. Wait. I have a. I don't know if you guys hear that. If you guys are hearing the sound effects, someone tell me in the chat, because I don't know if you're hearing that. I don't hear it. So I hope you're hearing it. All right. Well, let's talk about Power in the next few minutes before we call it a day, because it is getting very close. Very, very close to being Power time. This week we have the auspicious empty arena match between Ruthie J and La Rosa Negra. Of course, they had a falling out back around Saul Wen, and now they are battling for supremacy. Ruthie J has taken the role of the heel in this. La Rosa Negra, just too positive to be a heel, I guess. I'm glad they're doing something with both these ladies. I feel like they never gave them the proper opportunity as a tag team. So hopefully that's something that will lead to more opportunities for both of them. Obviously, I feel like the NWA tag team division is struggling. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Ruthie J teaming with Tiffany Nieves or Miss Star might be something that they could run to later down the road, because right now there's nothing. But that's the first match that'll probably be taking place tonight. Also, we have the World Junior Heavyweight Championships on the line. Spencer Slade taking on Colby Carino. Not Colby Carino. Apologies to Colby Carino. Alex Taylor, your World Junior Heavyweight Champion. Remember, Alex Taylor has held on to that title for quite some time now. And, it seems like the junior heavyweight division is getting a greater emphasis, with guys like Joe Ocasio being pushed in that junior heavyweight division along with Spencer Slade. And we know in the past that there is like the Alex Misery, there's Lev, and I feel like the roster is actually getting a little bit more attention lately. So who knows who's going to walk away with this title tonight? I don't know the results of this match or any of the matches tonight. So this one could be a very interesting title match. And maybe we'll see Spencer Slade as your new junior heavyweight champion. Personally, I like Alex Taylor, but I don't know, man. I don't know what the direction is they want to go with him, with the Southern Six. And Spencer Slade is not doing a damn thing, which is a crime. The dude is such a good wrestler, and I feel like he would make a very exciting mid-level champion in the NWA. It could be built up to be something a little bit more. But until that happens, I guess we're just going to have to hope for the best for that guy. And then, of course, I believe this will be the main event. It is the second round of the Jack Stain Memorial heavyweight tournament to crown a new number one contender for the 10 pounds of gold. I'm assuming that the person who wins this tournament will face the winner after the Crockett Cup between Rhino and Tom Latimer. And I feel like these are two of the better ranked wrestlers that are still in the tournament. I never understood why Colby Carino had to do a play-in match when his win-loss record was greater than the people who had the first round matches. Colby is very talented and has been really racking up some victories in the NWA. Silas Mason's a beast, and I know a lot of you guys see him as the next world champion for the National Wrestling Alliance. I like him a lot too. They had a hell of a match at 76. If they just run that back, I'd be happy with that, but we'll see. It looks like it's going to be a very exciting night for Power. There's a lot of times where I say like the matches don't really look that great to me, and they still end up having good matches. Tonight is one of those nights where I feel like they have to have good matches because they have the right people and the right talent in there. Devin Dowling says, "This is the NWA. What's a win-loss record?" Damn it, man. Why are you so right about that? Bobby says, Spencer Slade for the NWA National Heavyweight title. I'm for that too. Bobby also says you could have La Rosa Negra go after the NWA World's Championship like she did when Camille was champion in 23. All of these are good suggestions. All of these are great. Look, Big Mama hasn't defended that TV championship since winning it. Like, no defenses. And she's Mama 2 titles. So, I don't know, man. It's crazy, but that's what it is. And in 2 minutes, Power starts. So I want to say again, thank you guys for hanging out with me for this last episode of the pre-party. We're going to go radio silence for a while because your boy Jay is going to go to the UK. I'm going to be at the Rev Pro Wrestling event this Sunday, April the 6th in London. I'm going to be on a new continent watching pro wrestling. This will make continent number 3, state or country number 4. So that's really exciting. Stay tuned to our social medias for more about that. Also, you can check out our pals, the Alliance guys. I won't be here, but our good pal Rick Del Santo is supposed to be filling in with DKM and Jaden, and they'll be talking about, I'm sure, Power and all things NWA. So, guys, I appreciate you all hanging out with me on this Tuesday. It's been a blast. This last 6-7 years have been, I guess 6 years have been a lot of fun. But this is it. And when I say this is it, I mean it's April 1st, so we'll see. But until next time, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.